I feel like when I started freelancing, things were much easier. It was before the pandemic, so the competition was much smaller. And for my very, very first clients, I still lived with my mom. And even though I had to help at home, I could charge lower prices to get my foot in. So, what would I do today if I had to look for a client without any experience as a freelancer? I do want to give some context for this video. So, I have been a full time freelancer. I'm a freelance designer for 5 years now, but I actually started freelancing, I want to say I was 13 years old. I think that was the first time I designed a website for someone who was not a family member. And I did a lot of graphic design gigs here and there throughout my teenage years. I built a lot of blogs because blogs were very big in like 2010, 2011, 12. And I was helping out all the new bloggers and influencers in my city. But just as it was easier to get clients, it was also so much harder to find information on how much to charge, on how to set up systems, on how to actually thrive as a freelancer. So I ended up giving up the freelance life for a while, and I would freelance here and there as a side hustle, but I actually took it full time just a couple of months before the pandemic hit. So I'm going to give you 5 tips of what I believe would work nowadays if I wanted to go freelance and had never had a client before. I'm gonna trust that you already know this first one, but I need to say it anyway. Learn the basics of design, learn the foundations of graphic design. Learn design principles, watch documentaries, study the work of the most famous designers out there, stay up to date with the current trends. You're going to study and learn every single day. And yeah, that's great for beginners, but I'm also talking to seasoned designers. I feel like I'm all the time looking for inspiration, reading articles, reading biographies. I did go to university for multimedia arts, but I don't feel like that was relevant. I learned graphic design by playing around with software and tools, and that was throughout my teenage years. And of course, the software nowadays is nothing like it was almost 20 years ago, 15 years ago. But I keep learning so much by myself, and there's so much good content out there, a lot of free courses you can take, a lot of YouTube videos you can watch. I do not feel like my university changed anything in my career, to be quite honest. I'm gonna leave here on the screen some books I recommend, and they're also linked in the description. Tip number 2, if you've had or had a job, any job, use that to your advantage. I do think it's important to have that kind of experience, and I feel like people hire me way more because of my personality and my soft skills than because of my prices or even my design skills. And that's not to say that my design skills aren't good. Of course, I'm a pretty good designer, but what makes me stand out to someone is the way I present myself, the way I show up on a discovery call or the way my content resonates with them. I know that I learn pretty fast, I work pretty fast. I have awards and certificates from past jobs that they have nothing to do with design. I was employee of the month when I was a sales attendant, but I can add that to my CV, into my portfolio to show that I'm reliable. So I want you to make a list of all the soft skills that you currently use at your job or that you have used in the past, you have, and find a way to showcase them in your content, in your portfolio, in your CV, whatever it is that you're using right now. And since I mentioned content and social media, I do believe that creating short and long form content is really, really important. I'm gonna say that it's important. First of all, it's gonna get the word out there about your work. It's going to help you build a personal brand, and it's going to serve as a portfolio piece as well, because you're gonna have to go through all the steps, to build your visual identity, your design style. So it ends up becoming a portfolio piece in itself. It'll also show who you are beyond the design skills, and that'll help your audience trust you so much more. When I started my Instagram, for example, I was doing a lot of passion projects. I was joining every design challenge out there. I was constantly practicing and just showing up, doing the work, and I feel like that helped me so much because I had a lot of clients find me through Instagram. So now I don't want you to overthink. If you have these things, like your soft skills, you know what you're good at, you know the principles of design, you have your online presence. Now it's time to register on freelance platforms. That's what I would do. And here you can go 2 different ways. One, you're going to register on these platforms, and I'm going to give you some platforms in a second. You're going to register and you're going to pitch like there's no tomorrow, whatever project comes your way, because you want the testimonials, you want to build your profile and have those like 5 stars and really good ratings. Or you're going to carefully choose the projects you apply to because you already know what you want to be doing. You want to be in branding, you don't want to be doing web design or like rendering random flyers here and there, email marketing, all of that, then you're going to focus on a niche already. From my experience, sometimes it's just easier to start with a really small project. So when I joined Upwork, for example, I was already very clear that I wanted to work in branding and web design. But my first gig there was an email marketing, like email template. So it was a very small one, it was a single template, but I got the testimonial, I got the 5 stars, and I started to get some momentum. So I recommend that option, especially if the platform that you're going to be using has a limit on the amount of proposals you can send for free or in a month. I know that Upwork does nowadays. It didn't like a few years ago, or if it did, like I never reached it. So then, yeah, maybe you're gonna want to be a little bit more careful. But I personally would just do anything to have that first client experience. So these are some of my favorite platforms if you don't know where to start. Twine is probably my favorite. It's not that easy to get clients, but I probably got my best clients there. The second one is Workana, and that one is for the Spanish and Portuguese speakers. Every now and then you can find a job for English speakers, but it's a Latin American platform, so the majority of the projects are in Spanish or Portuguese. The third one is Contra. I haven't gotten any clients there yet, but I am there. I have pitched a couple of projects. I don't really rely on platforms nowadays, but when I find something that really resonates with me, I would just go and pitch. But I haven't really gotten a client through Contra, but I know a lot of people that have, and they love it, and I love the interface. The website is so beautiful, so I'm recommending it here. And of course, number 4 is Upwork. If you don't know Upwork, where are you living? Upwork, I think, is the biggest, most popular platform. You will find gigs for $5 and really serious clients there. So I will definitely try all of them out, see where you find the most success. But if you haven't had a client, do try all of these platforms out. With that being said, don't rely solely on online platforms. I'm going to give you one more tip on how to get a client if you don't really believe in freelance platforms. I know that I'm pretty skeptical about them nowadays because there's just so much competition and people are just really looking for prices there most of the time. You can also pitch local businesses or just cold email businesses that you want to work with. I feel like sometimes local businesses are easier because you can just go in person. You can drop off your business card if you have one, or just, make friends with someone that works there, ask if they need anything in design. But for example, I live in a country where I unfortunately do not speak the language yet. I don't know if I ever will. So sometimes it's really hard to meet people and go to networking events or just approach someone from a business perspective. So my best bet is to email businesses from different parts of the world where, if they need a website, I won't have to deal with building it in multiple languages or anything like that. But cold emailing can be really spammy, so make sure you're pitching for the right reasons and because you actually believe that they need your help. I feel like cold emailing, cold calling is both a quantity and quality game. So of course you want to reach out to a lot of businesses because the conversion rates for cold emailing are not that high, but you're gonna have to spend some time maybe going through their page, seeing what it is that they actually need right now, what they can improve, what they could be doing different or better. It's going to require some time from you, but I think the response rate is going to be much higher. And even if they don't hire you right away, maybe in the future you're going to be top of mind for them because you put all that work into this pitch. Okay, so if you follow all these steps, you should have your first client by now. So I want to give you a bonus tip, and that is go above and beyond. In any industry, keeping a client is much cheaper than acquiring a new one. And there were very few clients in the past 5 years that I worked with only once. And even the ones that I worked with only once referred me to someone that they knew. I think for the past 2 years, I've been surviving on referrals, which is not great, not what I recommend. I don't think relying only on word of mouth is a very smart business decision, but I just want to show you how important client experience is. And that can be delivering the work early, offering some extra assets, providing excellent customer service. And that's something, of course, I still do, but I feel like so many people overlook this. One thing I would do different from the get-go is setting up some kind of reward system for the clients that referred me to someone new. maybe a little commission or a discount on a future project, or a discount that they could offer to someone they knew. I never felt like I needed that, but I feel like it's sort of the right thing to do, and people would be more inclined to recommending my services that way. If you're at a crossroads, you don't know where to go from here, I offer consulting sessions for new freelancers. And together, we create a very clear plan for you to follow for 30 days. We have a first meeting, and then after a couple of weeks, we have another one to check in and see how you're doing, for you to adjust something, and just for you to have some accountability, because that's so important for anyone, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned freelancer. You can find the link in the description to learn more. I love helping other freelancers succeed. I think there's space for everyone. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope to maybe see you in a consulting session in the future. Make sure that you check all my pages out, my Instagram, my website. They're all linked down below, and I will see you in the next video.